Today on The Report, we discuss South Korea's 6 hours under martial law,
President Biden's pardoning his son,
and a nationwide hunt for treasure. The report starts now.
Hello everyone, I'm Justin Rosette.
I'm Jasmine Alvarez.
And I'm Gabriela Machuca. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Report CSUF or on our Titan TV Instagram at Titan TV CSUF to keep in touch with us and view our new content.
As South Koreans prepared to sleep on December 3rd, President Yoon Suk-yeol delivered a late-night TV address accusing the country's main opposition party of sympathizing with North Korea and of anti-state activities. The president then declared martial law, allowing the military to have temporary rule. Additionally, Yoon's military decree banned political activities such as rallies and protests, quote, denying free democracy for attempting a subversion, end quote, manipulating public opinion, end quote. Immediately after, lawmakers flocked to the parliament, pushing their way past soldiers who had been deployed to keep the building blocked off. In a historic emergency late-night meeting, they voted unanimously to block the decree, a vote that Yoon is legally bound to obey. Yoon's own party apologized, with Yoon's party chief demanding an explanation. By 4:30 a.m., Yoon announced that he would comply and lift the martial law order, withdrawing the troops that he had deployed earlier that night. However, he doubled down on his accusations that the opposition party was frustrating his government, urging lawmakers to stop their, quote, legislative manipulation, end quote. The president has not made any public statements since. In return, outrage, shock, and confusion ran through the entire world in the aftermath of the few-hour-long decree. Protesters gathered outside the parliament building calling for Yoon's impeachment. Even though the United States has been a South Korean ally since the 1980s peace treaty, the Biden administration disclosed that they were not notified in advance of Yoon declaring martial law. The U.S. voiced grave concern and expressed relief after the decree was lifted. Advocates argue that a significant U.S. troop presence in the Korean peninsula is crucial to deterring any potential attack from North Korea as Kim Jong-un's regime continues to build its nuclear arsenal, even countering China's aggression. As of Friday, December 6th, it is still tense in South Korea and the world wants answers from Yoon.
President Joe Biden issued a pardon for his son Hunter, who was facing potential jail time over federal felony gun and tax convictions. Biden previously ruled out a pardon in June, saying, quote, I will abide by the jury decision, end quote. On December 1st, he put out a statement, quote, I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice, end quote. The pardon will cover any offenses the president's son committed or may have taken part of from the period of January 1st, 2014 to December 1st, 2024. It was filed into his ongoing gun and tax cases in Los Angeles and Delaware, and the cases were dismissed. Hunter Biden was convicted in Delaware for lying about having no drug addiction on a federal form so he could purchase a gun in 2018. Hunter has since admitted to substance abuse during that time. In Los Angeles, he pled guilty to misdemeanor charges for failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes, which President Biden attributes to his drug addiction. He was set to stand trial before the case was dismissed. President-elect Trump called the pardon an, quote, abuse and miscarriage of justice, end quote, taking to Truth Social to criticize the president. He referenced the infamous Capitol riots on January 6, 2021, saying, quote, does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who have now been imprisoned for years, end quote. Biden defends his decision, asserting, quote, the charges in his cases come about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election, end quote. Hunter Biden is grateful for the pardon. He shared in an email statement that he won't take it for granted and will devote his life towards helping those sick and suffering from substance abuse. If you or someone you know is struggling from drug addiction, please call the Drug Addiction Hotline at 866-210-1303 or visit the website drughelpline.org.
Shifting gears from the events in D.C. and turning it over to the West Coast, a police search in Central California is underway to locate an escaped convicted killer who fled custody on December 2nd. Law enforcement are trying to find 34-year-old Cesar Hernandez, who was convicted of first-degree murder in Los Angeles County for killing a man after he left a bar in Linwood in 2018. Hernandez was serving a sentence of 25 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole at Kern Valley State Prison before he made his escape during a prison transport to Kern County Superior Courthouse in Delano. Hernandez was originally being taken to Delano to face charges for manufacturing weapons while in custody, and if convicted this additional time, he risked the possibility of facing a life sentence as per California's 3 strikes law. Authorities say Hernandez jumped out of the prison van during the drive to Delano, causing a manhunt led by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, involving collaboration with California Highway Patrol, including both Delano and McFarland police departments. If caught, Hernandez may face additional charges for felony escape. Hernandez is reported to be 5 feet 5 inches, weighing around 160 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing an orange prison jumpsuit. Those that see Hernandez are urged not to confront him, but are instead encouraged to make reports and send tips to 911 or contact Kern Valley State Prison officials at 661-721-6314.
In other news about unique occurrences, America will find itself to be a real-life treasure map as one man has hidden treasure chests across the country, sparking a modern-day treasure hunt. The man behind it is John Collins Black, a musician turned entrepreneur who has an affinity for collecting treasures. Now a Bitcoin millionaire, Collins Black has gone on to hide 5 treasure chests across the United States. The chests contain a wide variety of valuables that are estimated to be worth more than $2 million combined.
The ambitious plan to establish such a treasure hunt comes from his published book, There's Treasure Inside, that provides clues as to where the treasure chests are located. As a lifelong fantasy lover, Collins Black stated that he planned this challenge to, quote, give people the optimistic, adventurous possibility, end quote. So far, no one has gone on to uncover any of the hidden treasures, but as social media buzzes with theories and speculations, Collins Black wants people to know that if the treasure chests aren't found for a number of years, he will release additional clues to assist in the search. The longer it takes for the chests to be discovered, the greater the value of the prizes grow, and those lucky enough to find them will claim a place in one of the largest modern puzzles created. So guys, a modern day treasure hunt. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any thoughts? Does it make you excited?
I'm a big fan of this. Reading up on this, it seems really interesting. I feel like it's something that in the midst of, crazy world, crazy life, crazy things going on, you can buy this book, you can have in your hands access to possibly changing your life, changing your family's life, finding something that's worth millions of dollars. And also, it just seems like something that's fun, something that you can do in your, what are the odds people are actually going to find these treasures? Hopefully one day. But it seems like something that's cool, something that he put his time into, something that he put some money into, like just hiding things around the world. I think it's something that could be good and could lead to people possibly changing their lives in the future. But what do you think?
I definitely think it's fun. It makes me think of like a Legend of Zelda game come to life, right? I do wonder if maybe that was the best investment of his Bitcoin millionaire money, but I do think it's a fun way of going, how do I give back to the community that isn't just in charity work, which is also very honorable, but just adds a little bit of mystique to it. Yeah. I do question how intense people are going to be in terms of actually searching for this treasure, and this is the first time this story that I've heard of it. I wonder if it will gain more buzz, more traction, and then it will be more competitive. I know I personally am too lazy to do that. So I'm curious to see who will actually be devoted enough to buy the book and scour for the treasure. Any thoughts, any feelings?
Yeah, I'm excited, definitely. I want to see who will be at least 5 of the lucky winners, because there are 5 of them out there. So that's pretty cool. There's multiple chances and opportunities. We'll see who ends up winning the prize, but I'm excited. And it is interesting, like it says, no one's won it just yet, but as time continues, the prizes will also gain more money. So you know, it's exciting to see.
And Gabby, I agree with your point about this is definitely a questionable choice of spending your money being a millionaire. But I also think as someone who may be trying to get himself out there as an author, what better way to get people to buy your book than tell them, hey, if you buy my book, you might win $5 million, you might win a lot of money, So I think this book is already like a best-selling New York Times book, and that's definitely probably one of the plans he had behind it to make a lot of money off the book is to put some incentive behind it. So
it's very true.
It's all a scheme. It's all a plot. It's all a plan. So we have these Christmas festivities coming up, but unfortunately the Delano community won't be able to enjoy it as much because of the murder on the loose. So how do we feel about the situation?
I think it's definitely really scary. I think the community members must feel on edge, definitely trying to keep their eyes out, to see if they see any suspicious activity. But I'm sure they don't feel like they can rest. There's the question of, did he leave? Is he still within the area, the immediate area? Are we safe? Especially since we know he has been convicted for murder. So it definitely is going to cause some concern to the community. But yeah, I feel for the community. I hope that they are able to catch the killer promptly and swiftly. And again, if you see something, say something, but do not approach this individual because they are dangerous.
Yeah, and I think this is just a very unfortunate, sad situation. I'm thinking about all of the families, all of the parents, the mothers and fathers that are in Delano County right now that want to go out with their kids to celebrate Christmas. You want to go ice skating, you want to do all these things, and it's like, sure, we can do that, but now you have to be scared. Like, there literally could be a first-degree murderer, a killer on the loose. This is someone that was supposed to be serving 25 years to life, and so also mentioned that he was eligible for parole, and that's not going to happen now. It's going to be added to his sentence if he's found. So very unfortunate situation. I think just looks bad for the city of Delano, but I think he was being transported somewhere and he just happened to escape. So it's kind of just a thing of being unlucky. Could have been like bad security on their part, but just mostly unlucky. But just have to hope and pray that he's found as soon as possible and that these Christmas activities can be continued. People can enjoy the holidays with their families, but unfortunately you can't do that with the murder on the loose.
Right.
He just wanted to enjoy the holidays with his family.
I guess so.
I guess. But especially when it comes to these criminals, you have to think about, okay, well, now he's on the loose. Maybe he's not even in Delano anymore, not to create more fear. But also, does he still have a connection in terms of his family? When he first committed the murder, he had his connection with his then girlfriend. Didn't read up if there was still a connection between the two of them. But that then leads me to wonder, okay, why haven't we looked into his family? Or maybe that's just not public yet. So.
Yeah, and I think adding on to your point of him escaping, I think it's today's day 4 of the manhunt. So at this point, this man's a criminal. He's trying to flee. He could be in another city. He could be somewhere completely different, And so I think people, not only in Delano, but all the surrounding cities as well, need to be aware that there is someone on the loose that very well could be in your city.
All right, and segueing now into President Biden pardoning his son, Hunter. Guys, I'm so interested in what your thoughts are. Justin, let's start with you.
I think this is a display of power. Joe Biden is the president, and one of the powers that you have is to be able to pardon people. And so I think it does look bad on Joe Biden's part because in June, not that long ago, you said, I'm not going to pardon my son. I'm going to let the law do its thing. I also think maybe Joe Biden hadn't yet announced that he wasn't going to be running for president. Maybe he thought he'd still be in office. It could do something later on. But now that he's about to be out of office next month, now he's like, this is my son. I probably should pardon him. It looks bad that he lied, but I think overall there are a lot of people that are in prison that did far less things than Hunter Biden did and was, proven guilty of, that pleaded guilty of. And so I think in the grand scheme, it does look bad on Joe Biden's part and Hunter Biden's part. But I think, for Hunter, this is a second chance. Like he said, he wants to do better. He wants to help people that struggled where he struggled. Right. So you can only hope that he'll be a new person, that he'll get out of those things in his old ways and that he'll do good for the community and those people. But overall, I think there are a lot of people that did far less than he did that are still in prison. So obviously not the best thing, but hopefully he can do good with it.
No, that's a great point about how he's done less than others that are currently in jail. And I also agree that it's a no-brainer, right? It's his son. When there was first, I think it was a couple years ago, the audio tapes about the phone calls of Joe Biden apologizing and recognizing what situation his son was in and affirming that he still loved him. I thought that was so touching. And politicians are politicians and opposing parties are opposing parties, and people had their conflicts and were trying to make it seem like Joe Biden was in the wrong for supporting his son or how shameful that he had this son. But unfortunately, drug addiction and abuse is pretty widespread, and we all know to some degree someone in our circles that has some sort of struggle. So to me, it's a no-brainer that Joe Biden would still care for his son and want the best for him. And if he can use his power to be able to do that, what parent wouldn't, you know? So just, it's interesting because he is in this position of power, but from an empathetic perspective of the family, I completely understand why he went about this. Is it the best politically? But hopefully Hunter does use this opportunity to turn things around for himself.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Gabby. I think it was such a touching moment for father-son, you know, definitely, like you said, it was an empathetic moment. Probably like you also stated, not the best move politically, but I understand why the backlash is there. I understand why some of the public is upset. But again, how can you not understand it is his child? And, you know, some people say, oh, it's, you know, it's soft. But at the end of the day, him pardoning his son and still telling him, you know, I still love you despite it all, I still love you, is such a great message to, I think, leave out. And I think it's also good that, like you said, Justin, Hunter is looking to hopefully go back and give back to the community and people who are also struggling with addiction, which is good to see. I hope he does stay in that path and help others. And, you know, hopefully he does take that shot at life again.
Yeah, and I think this story also gets interesting. As we talked about, Donald Trump is not happy about this, and there certainly seems to be a lot of people that he wants to pardon with the January 6th protesters, and it seems like he might do that once he comes into office, so we'll just have to see how that all rolls out. But transitioning to one of our stories about one of the United States' allies in South Korea, the president, Yoon Suk-yeol, took away martial law the other day and put the whole city on notice late at night. So I want to ask you guys, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I thought it was honestly a little silly and crazy, just because the first time that I got to see any of this news was on my TikTok, and it was this girl in Korea making an emergency TikTok about how she didn't even know what she was going to do the next morning. She had work. She was like, we're all freaking out. We all have our day-to-day lives, and how she was having like messages from other people in Korea that she knew of sending her picture about military in the streets. So everyone felt out of sorts in terms of the extremities that were happening, just on a dime, right? Like that night. So do I think it's great that the politicians and the community as a whole very quickly voiced their opposition to this? I think it's great. You know, this is really what we need when we say that we need community to come together and stand for what we believe in, right? And in this case, all of the Korean citizens said, no, we do not want to be under martial law. So I think it's great. It's also comical because of how short it was. But it will be interesting to see the aftermath.
Yeah, definitely. I think it must have been scary for the locals who experienced it firsthand, who were seeing the, you know, military coming in on their streets, you know, which it's not every day that you see that. I'm sure that it's not something that they're used to. So very scary, like you said. They were not sure what to do the next day, you know, like they have their routines that they follow every day. So it must have been really scary, but it's good and fortunate that it didn't last long. Like you said, it's great that they rallied and were able to overthrow the president's choice of doing martial law. So I think it's interesting. I think it definitely also rattled the U.S. government because we don't know what this means. And I think worldwide is pretty rattled. You know, we don't know what's going on and we don't really know what their next move is going to be. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm interested to see what's going to happen and what's going to come about.
Yeah, I think this is just a very impulsive and questionable decision by the president of South Korea. I think he might have had his suspicions of things that were going on internally, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you cannot by any means impulsively make a big decision like this without consulting the United States, without consulting anyone, and just say, you know what, martial law. Like, we don't know what could have happened if the military chose to do something during that time, during those 6 hours. Things could have been very different. So that was a very impulsive decision. And a lot of people are talking about him being impeached. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that this is grounds for him to be impeached?
Well, I think for sure everyone is suspicious of him and are unsure of having him move forward. I don't know if it would go that far. I wonder if maybe if he did another statement or something else that was particularly inflammatory, then everyone would again come together in community and impeach him. But I think right now it's just the tension and everyone trying to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, right? The world leaders of just going, what happened? What was this?
Yeah, definitely. I think possibly the citizens are feeling a little bit more like, you know what, this is the last straw on the camel's back. Let's go ahead and push for impeachment. But I do think that, like you said, with the other government officials around the world, I think they're more just questioning his motives, like, what was that? Can you explain, and kind of also probably also saying, hey, excuse me. But I could imagine that they're also telling him, hey, you need to pull back. You need to warn us before you're going to do something this drastic. So I don't know. I'm intrigued to see if he will get impeached. Do I think it'll happen? I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. I think it's a toss-up. The citizens, though, are quite upset, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I think we've seen the past couple of years the United States being impeached is one thing, but actually going through with it and getting president removed is like a whole different thing. So we'll have to see how that goes. I think this could be grounds for an impeachment. This was a very irrational decision that could have gone worse, and unfortunately did not get worse, but it could have. But we'll just have to see how that goes. We'll have to see how other countries feel about it and how the people of South Korea feel. So, and with that, that's all we have time for today. Have a great week, everyone.
And stay tuned for more news, views, and info.
We'll see you next time on The Report.